Yeah, has like print and
We're good?
proposals and et cetera.
Okay, yeah, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Public Site and Building Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, February 28th, 2026. The time is now 7:01 p.m. If everybody could stand and join me for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll say those things different times.
Yeah, I just want to do a quick reminder that this meeting and all of our meetings are run under the FOI Freedom of Information Policy that I read aloud at our last meeting.
See if I can get to it later.
Assuming we have no public input and no correspondence.
Yep.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our regular meeting of January 14th, 2026.
Second,
Okay, second. Anything to discuss on the meeting, on the minutes?
think so?
They look good to me.
Yep.
Chris, able to vote this time? Yep, all good. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have new business, but we have nothing listed under new business.
Well, I want to make a statement under new business. It was on the last meeting's new business that we were informed that 2 new members of the Public Site and Building Commission were nominated by the Board of Selectmen. One of them went through the registration into swearing in Chris, who is there today. The other gentleman, Stanley Weston, I spoke to. He wasn't aware of it, and as we talked, he wasn't sure that he was interested. With that being said, I sent an email to Dan Carter, the first selectman. He said he was going to check into it and get in touch with him. And as of right now, I never heard anything from Dan Carter, so we don't know the status of Mr. Weston at this time.
Can I add to that, Roger? Didn't you email David Horvath?
Well, yes, and with the information from the last meeting for the freedom of information, asked his interest. He told me he has lost interest. He's involved with other issues and he was going to resign. What is the best way to do that? I sent an email to him. You have to inform the first selectman and Lisa Berg, the town clerk, with an official letter, postmarked or mailed them it or hand delivered, telling them that. And I haven't heard from them since. So I don't know. And I got no information from either Dan Carter or from Lisa Berg. I can check on that tomorrow.
So it looks like we may need at least 1 or possibly 2 more people to be appointed to fill in those spots. So
Correct.
Roger will keep up with that. Hopefully people know people.
Is this appropriate to ask? Do we know what their party affiliation is?
So Dave Horvath is a Republican, so we'd have to be replaced by a Republican. Stan was going to replace me. That could be anybody.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Wait a minute, let me make a comment. Nobody can replace Nancy.
Thanks, Roger.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on to old business. We have the BHS HVAC upgrade, and I'll turn it over to Mark Dupree from STV. Mark, if you want to give us some general overviews, and then I'm sure you and John could discuss what's happening with the tracing and everything.
Certainly, and actually, we had a OAC meeting yesterday that Jason Harvey from Save More was unable to attend, so we didn't get any kind of update from him for the last week, and he had promised us a written update, which we have not received yet. I reached out to him today, left him a voicemail. He has not returned my call. And I'm very interested. I know John Mangelli has done a site visit either today or yesterday. I'm very interested to hear what John has to say.
Yep. So I was on site this afternoon with Tyler. The main focus was looking at the 2 exhaust fans that Save More noted were not ducted. They indeed are ducted, so that's good news.
Yeah.
They're ducted from the fan to the bathrooms. So no issue there. We also took a look at the condition of all the bathrooms. So all 10 exhaust fans on the project serve bathrooms in the building. A couple of the bathrooms are missing grills in the ceiling. So not a major problem. The ductwork is there. The branches are there. They're just not connected to anything. But otherwise, all the duct infrastructure is in place, short of a couple grills in, I think, 3 bathrooms total.
But John, once again, we don't know if all the fans are powered.
Well, apparently they're not powered. At least 8 of the 10 are not powered. The last time we did have a meeting with Jason, not yesterday, but the previous one, Mazzotti had a game plan for circuiting those fans from certain existing panel boards throughout the building. We just haven't seen that yet in paper. But so that's where we're at with the power portion of it. So that still needs to be done to make those fans active.
So John, they're going to submit their plan to you for the wiring, and then you guys.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, all these fans are fractional horsepower. They're very small from an electrical load standpoint. So I'm confident they'll get the circuiting correct. We're going to review it anyway and make sure, and review the change order that's associated with it when it comes.
So can I clarify? Sounds like the ductwork is all there. It's
Correct.
just all connected either to the bathroom that it's serving or to the fan that's supposed to be pulling the air through.
They're all connected to the fan. It's there's 3 bathrooms that have just like 2 of them have holes in the ceilings where the grills are or supposed to be. Those are abandoned bathrooms in the building. One bathroom is a single stall unit with the ductwork above the ceiling, and there's just no grill cut into the ceiling itself. So the ductwork exists from the fan all the way to the point where there's supposed to be a grill for those couple of locations. The grills are just not there. All the other bathrooms are fully ducted with rather old grills, but they are there. Except for just the 3 bathrooms that we found today.
I just have a question, John, for Tyler. Number one is, do you have replacement grills, or can you get grills for those open ductwork? And are those bathrooms going to be abandoned, or is it even worth it to energize them, to get them working?
So I think that was a miscomment on John's part. I don't believe any of the bathrooms we went into today, John, are abandoned. They were just locked because there had been inappropriate behavior in them. So they're under lock and key. Students don't have free access to them. We do have some abandoned bathrooms, but I don't believe we went in those, John. To answer your other question, Roger, I don't believe we have any existing grills on site. None that I've come across yet anyway. John and I just did that walkthrough this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to speak to my head custodian to see if he has something I haven't discovered yet. But my anticipation is that we probably don't have grills. John and I briefly discussed what the best way would be to get those replaced. I have not had a chance to speak with Jen or Dr. Carver about it either. It's probably quicker to go outside the project to just one of my vendors.
Yeah,
However, if we're looking to have it be refundable or partially refundable under the grant, we would have to do it as part of the project. So
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to speak to Jen or Dr. Carver. I intend to tomorrow morning. But I think grills, we're probably talking small dollar amounts anyway.
Yeah,
You're,
to me, that's like a maintenance issue, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, we're in the neighborhood of like, $50 a grill for the material. The labor, that's up in the air, questionable. But that's what we're talking about. It is small dollar amounts.
John, these are what, 12 by 12, non-adjustable grills?
Correct. Roughly 12 by 12. Some of them might have been a little bit larger. They varied throughout. None of them I saw were 24 by 24. So there might be a couple 18 by 18s or 12 by 12s. They don't have to be adjustable because they're exhaust. So they're pulling in air. They're not throwing air. They could just be fixed blade standard grills.
Okay. And then again, just to summarize, you have 3 bathrooms that have just holes in the ceilings, or they've been sheetrock over?
They're ceiling tile, and there's holes punched where the grills were. And the duct, you can see the duct working right through it.
Okay.
So
we don't
yeah,
need.
they're not gyp sealing.
Okay. So there's not going to be sheetrock repair, painting, all that stuff.
Correct. No.
Okay.
So, clarification too, from the OAC notes that Mark sent out on the 20th, there was a whole list of exhaust fans, this number, that number, ductwork. So we've confirmed ductwork is there, which is great, because that I think would be a whole lot harder to deal with installing than electrical, but there is still some electrical that is being traced, or has it all been traced and now we got to install wiring?
Allegedly, it's all been traced by Mazzotti, the electrical contractor. And they have, again, allegedly, because Jason's not here and we haven't talked to him yesterday, he wasn't on the call, but apparently they have a game plan for where to pull power to serve those fans. We just haven't seen it yet.
Okay. That's all going to require a change order, or is some of it going to be like, hey, that was in the scope?
No, none of the scope was disconnect and reconnect the power, but if there was no power there to disconnect and reconnect from, it's a valid change order.
And then you and whoever on your team, Colaronin, will be working with them and getting that change order and reviewing it, et cetera, before it's presented to make sure it's either all inclusive or not including more than what needs to be, et cetera.
Exactly. Yep. We're going to check for code compliance, proper circuiting size, and then the value in the change order. We're going to be looking for what our opinion is of accuracy. If they're charging too much, if they missed any scope, we'll be looking for both sides.
All right, so was the change order that we approved a month or so ago, whatever, has that been satisfied? They were going to trace out, right, to other, equipment, correct?
We have not seen any backup on that change order yet. That has not come out in any billing. They owe us complete backup and tickets on the hours that were spent with the manpower and the labor, so that we can validate that against the change order that would come potentially in their next invoice. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk to Jason about. And obviously when I haven't been able to speak to him directly, so that's been a little bit of a challenge, but we should know what the status of that is by our next meeting.
And also that change order needs to be, all that validation needs to be in place for us to be able to get reimbursement, if it can be considered for reimbursement. We need all that in place. And it needs to be done within a certain time frame.
6 months.
Yep.
Yeah, I think at a previous OAC meeting, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason did say that they exhausted that change order with the value of the change order with all
He did say that but he also said he wasn't sure and he was going to give me the backup on it, which I haven't seen yet.
And then for any new change orders, something we could discuss now or another time, but maybe having a better system in place to uh, approve, look at the work they're doing and approve the tickets or what they're going to be providing for backup, rather than this new supervisor say more, or if we can do an additional level of oversight.
And that would fall down to John and Craig to give them the direction, as they are the engineer of record on this project. So they would need to provide them with at least a sketch so that they can come back and provide a price for that change order. I'm sure they know that already. So
Right.
Okay.
As far as the fans, there's one more update on the matter. A good news update. So we have 10 fans on the project that are being replaced. One of the fans serves a special needs classroom, individual bathroom in a special needs classroom. At some point, there was a retrofit in that bathroom where someone put a residential style ceiling fan, exhausting it, tied to the light switch, and it's flex ducted to the outdoors. Now I don't know when that happened. We were looking back at our notes from 2022, and we didn't see it then, or we missed it. It's possible we missed it. But at any rate, there is a fan already in the job, or already in the building, serving that bathroom. So EF44 is really not needed. We can save the money on powering that. And then we have a couple options of what we want to do with that fan. It is large enough to be used as a spare fan for 6 of the other 9. So a majority of your fans, if we want, we can keep it in attic stock. If one of those 6 that are the right size, if they fail, we can replace it. You'll have the parts and pieces ready, necessary, and it'll be disconnect and reconnect at the time. Or we can save it and use it for a future phase in construction, potentially in other areas of the building when we get there. But it looks like we don't need to power all 10 fans. We only need to power 9. The retrofit that was done is code compliant. I saw no issue in that standpoint, so I'm okay with keeping it as is.
Will there be a cost to disassemble the fan from the roof?
They're probably, I mean, it comes off very easily. They would have to provide a curb cap, like a sheet metal cap where the fan is. There might be a slight cost associated with that. I can't tell you if Jason would say he'll just do it or not. I haven't talked to him. We haven't brought anybody up to this topic yet, because we just discovered it today. But it's possible there could be a slight cost with it.
Okay, so someone would have to make the decision to power 9 or power 10 of them based on what we want to do.
Yeah, I think we would need to know the cost of the removal of the fan and cap versus the cost of feeding power to that fan.
Right.
So we could make a sound judgment there.
Can't you just leave the fan in place and then, I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. And is it a draft issue? You know, you could maybe plug the opening in the bathroom, but just don't power it and just leave it there. And then down the road, you can do something maybe.
Is it on the
That's just my opinion. I mean,
It is on the roof. John and I did not discuss this, so John, please chime in if you feel differently. But the problem with doing that, Roger, would be that kind of takes it off the table as being a backup, and now it's just serving as a placeholder on the roof, that without engaging another vendor to remove it and cap the duct penetration, we're not able to redeploy that in an easy manner. It's
Right.
really, it would kind of be kicking the can down the road for a future problem that we need to address in order to address the problem that we were trying to utilize that spare fan for.
So Roger, the only time I would say to do that idea and leave it on the roof, because all the ductwork, the existing ductwork is in place from the previous fan, is if you planned on renovating that area in the future and you knew that you would need more exhaust or something. That doesn't seem to be the case here. it doesn't seem like the high school is going to be rearranging the planning or programming of that area. I don't think you'll need more exhaust in the future. It's probably going to get more value if you remove it and keep it as a spare, or use it in a future phase on the other side of the building when that renovation gets done.
Okay.
And then John, I forget if you mentioned it. Did you say when that residential style fan was installed?
I don't know. So not me, but Craig, my boss from our office, he reviewed that space in 2022. And I was looking through his notes, and he saw all the ductwork that we saw today. He checkmarked it, but he didn't have any comments. He had a lot of comments on things that he saw, but he had no comments about a ceiling fan. So again, it's possible that he missed it. He's pretty thorough. It's possible that it was installed at some point between 2022 and 2026, or probably most likely 2025 at some point. So it is possible over the last couple of years it was added. It's also possible that it's older than 2022 and that we missed it. So we just don't know. But it is running fine and it's in good shape. The ductwork looks relatively new, and it's code compliant.
And so we took this fan and we put it in attic stock. And then the residential fan in the bathroom was to break. It would probably be cheaper to just get a new residential setup, correct?
Yeah, that's like a $200-300 fan compared to the one that we're putting on the roof is about $1,000. So yeah, if you needed to replace the ceiling fan, the residential style one, all your infrastructure is there. It's an easy swap, and B, that's a much cheaper fan.
Okay. So have saved more. Give us a price to disconnect it and put a dirt cap on it. And
Yep.
we'll see what that looks like.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll compare that against the price to just wire it.
Okay. John, do you want to get into what you saw with the insulation next?
Sure. So of the two DOAS units, one of them is about 75% complete. The other is about 40 to 50% complete when it comes to the ductwork insulation associated with them. It looks like the one that's more complete has duct wrapping on most of the ductwork. As you get closer to the unit, we saw that they did not complete the physical insulation itself, and therefore have not gotten to the wrapping there. The wrapping that is on, they're doing a pretty good job overall. We saw some spots, mostly on the bottom seams of the ducts and where the ducts are supported by the roof stands. At those points, some of that was peeling in spots. They did a poor job on a few of the members that support the ductwork off the roof with the adhesive wrap. So there's some touch up. There's a good, decent amount of touch up work that should get done. I'm going to put that in a field report so that they know we're checking the bottom of the ductwork. The top and sides look pretty good. The wrap is holding. The adhesive is holding. Again, except for a few spots on the bottom that need to be touched up.
Okay, so at the OAC meeting, just let everybody know, it came up that there's not much that they're going to be able to do with the cold weather. This insulation wrap adhesive is, temperature sensitive. So there's not much I don't think they're going to be able to do to finish this insulation without either specifying a different adhesive or having them use torches and heaters or some other method, which I don't know if we want to discuss that or if we want to.
So it seems like they were doing that already, because the week that they were installing this was below 35 degrees. And if they did, it seems to be working pretty good. Like I said, a large majority of the wrap was adhered very well. So it's definitely something I want to bring up to Jason. Overall, I would say it appeared like 1 week's worth of work was done with 2, maybe 3 guys. It doesn't seem like they put a bunch of people on the job like they said. But they did make what I would expect progress wise for a typical crew for a week.
Okay, so should we have them continue down this road of getting the insulation up with heaters and torches and do the best they can to get it wrapped up and then have it, you know, as a retainage item or a punch list item as we get into the warmer months?
Yeah, I'm gonna see. I mean, like a day like today, it was 22. I'm looking at it now. It was 24 at a high degrees. So that might have been fine for them to use their torches and the spray adhesive. If that's similar to the conditions they were working with anyway for what we have now. It's when you get into the single digits, I'm concerned about that. And I would like to get Jason's take on it. But I mean, we've had some, I'm not going to say warm because it is still cold, but at least days in the low to mid 20s. So can they continue on during those periods? That's the question I want to ask them.
John, also, just a quick comment. If you said it looks like maybe about a week's worth of work with the insulators, we should see what we were billed for. Were we billed for that amount of labor and time? Or did they, say, oh, we worked many weeks or something? I don't know how you go back.
I'm gonna be commenting on the pay rec about it. I don't think they should get billed or paid the full amount that they're billing. So I'm gonna put an opinion on it as a comment on the pay rec, Roger.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
So what work is being done now other than possibly the insulation with?
So insulation is a big one. Controls. All the equipment has been installed. Has to get added to the control system. We saw the radiation was added on the control system today, but the VRF system doesn't seem to be under control yet. So that has to get completed and finished. Testing and balancing has to get done. And then as-built documentation
So
and commissioning.
who does the controls? Is that under Safemore or is there a separate?
That is, Tyler, I got it. You use SNE and ESC. I got to see who's on this job.
SNE is contracted under Save More for the
SNE.
controls.
And SNE works on the control system in the building in general. So
They are not my current vendor for controls, but they were in the past and they've done several projects, but currently ESC is the controls vendor.
they're taking over. Okay.
And John, you'll have them adjust their application for payment if it's not.
Yep. I took the pay rec with me today. I looked at all the items
I forgot to
that
get.
had values on them. And I took notes. I'm going to be commenting on majority of them. Yeah, they had the, Tom, I know you were concerned last time about the fire, the duct mounted smoke detectors. They are installed now. Tyler, you got a notification from the fire alarm vendor or the fire alarm system. So it seems like it's tied into the fire alarm, and if not, at least that work is being done.
Yeah, the
So
fire
I'm
alarm
pretty
vendor.
confident.
Sorry, John. The fire alarm vendor contacted me today to advise that they were programmed last night and to review the manner in which they were programmed, because code has changed since the original, or the vast majority of the duct detectors were installed. When they were installed, the code was that a duct detector triggered an alarm condition. Current code is that a duct detector triggers a supervisory condition. And the tech that came out from the alarm company informed me that he did verify with the fire marshal that the supervisory programming was how the fire marshal would like to see them currently programmed, even though it won't match the vast majority of the way the building is programmed. So long story short, I was advised today that that programming happened last night.
So that item is essentially complete, Tom. So we'll be approving that on the pay rec. The shaft work and painting, everything was done that I saw. They're missing 2 access doors, so I'll probably hold a little bit of money until that gets done. Otherwise, I'm going to add the comments based on the items we just went over.
John, have you done a punch list yet?
No, because they're not done with the installation yet. But I'm going to issue an interim field report, Mark,
Okay.
before the punch list, because
Yeah, it'd be good to have
I saw
that.
things today, and I want to get it in front of them before the punch list because they're taking a little time with the installation.
Let's get that out before the end of the week if you can, John, please.
Okay.
I want to have it in Jason's hands before our next meeting.
Okay.
Right, so barring any snowstorms, rainstorms,
Every store.
negative 30 degrees, they've got what sounds like at least a week or two's worth of non-weather related installation to do before they get into all this duct, the wrapping and the adhesive problem, correct?
If weather was in their favor or warm enough to be able to do the work, yeah, they're probably got 2 weeks of work at the pace they're going for the
But-
insulation on the roof.
But the first layer of insulation is not weather dependent, right?
Correct. Now with the type of insulation we're using, it's a closed cell. They should be doing their best to keep it dry, but it's a closed cell insulation. It doesn't deteriorate if it gets wet.
Okay, so we'll need a new update from Sid Moore on why that's not done at this point still.
Yeah, and it really should be dry before they wrap it. You don't want to trap the moisture either.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay.
All right, any other issues?
I don't know if this is the avenue for this, but I'm going to have to issue a change order as much as I don't want to for STV. And I just wanted to notify the board. We only have about $1,000 left in our fee, and that is using, with your permission, to use the expense line item that we have against billables. So, and if this project continues on for another couple of months, I need to cover Jarlin and an hour myself for the next few weeks. So before the next meeting, I will send you folks a change order from STV.
Is there a way that we can pin Save More down with time frame so that, Mark, your change order can fit within that, so we don't have to do another one and another one and another one?
Yeah. Well, what I was hoping to do is promote just a budget, maybe $2,500 or $3,000, something like that we bill hourly against, as we've been doing all along.
Yeah.
And if we don't use it, we don't bill it, obviously. So,
Okay.
the key unknown is how much Jen and Dr. Carver need Geraldine as well. So, because Geraldine supports them, it's not just for me, it's for her as well. So, at this point, I'm thinking if I just promote and propose a budget, and we can go forward from there.
Right, and obviously, Ms. Geraldine does the
Yes.
the, grant paperwork.
Yeah, she helps with the application. So,
That'd be good.
and as a matter of fact, she updated the budget for me. So if you go on to the Google Docs share site, the budget is updated. The project budget sheet is updated.
Hey, John, I'll ask you as well, just to piggyback on the Mark's situation. If you see that you guys think you might have some change orders or some extra work that you're gonna have to do, let's see if we can get all that in front of us, because we'd like to do invoices and change orders at the next meeting. So we can address all that early in whatever that meeting is in February, the first week of February.
It's the 11th.
Okay, I'll check with Craig when I get to the office tomorrow. We'll take a look at the hours in the contract and what's left that we owe and if we exceed. And I'll let you guys know before the next meeting if any change order is warranted.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a date on the budgets, so I have to check and see which one's the most recent.
Yeah, she did it back like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Right, but as they're just sitting here, they don't have dates on them, so I gotta open each one and see. We'll just
So
have
there
to-
should be a date as to when it was entered.
Yes, but you have to open it to see it, at least the way I see it in my,
Okay.
it's like they're not in order, so to speak. Could be nice.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You know,
It's just sometimes the way this thing, puts stuff in, they're not always in any kind of order, so,
the way it sorts them, yes, I agree.
yeah. So,
Nancy, I find that if you have it so it's in like a grid view, top right-hand corner above the files, there is like 4 squares, and then next to it, there's like the hamburger stack, the 3 horizontal lines. If you click on the 3 horizontal lines, it puts it in like text-based list, and that shows the dates of them a lot more clearly.
okay. Because I think we're gonna have the STV change order. We're gonna need to know what Save More is gonna throw at us.
Right.
And again, John, with Kohler Ronan, because we didn't, you just divided it up into 12 months. We didn't see whether 1 month you used less and the next another month you used more. So we don't, you have to look at that and figure it out. And if there's some sort of report you need to give us to show us, obviously, if you needed more, you're going to have to give us that information so that we can take that decision.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for us is we compare it against what's in the proposal for what we owe for CA. Like I said in the last meeting, we owe you guys a punch list. Even though it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, I think our contract may say like over 90 days may warrant a change order, but we're pretty flexible. I'm going to give you guys a punch list still. I'm going to do this field report in the meantime, whether it's owed or not. We try to work with you as much as possible. If it gets to a certain breaking point, like Mark said, I'll let you know.
Hey, Mark, have you reviewed the budget that Geraldine uploaded?
I think I have one.
Sorry, I don't have access right now.
I'm just wondering if that budget represents the $9,900,
99,000.
the 9,900 for the change order,
Oh,
the
okay.
tracing.
No, it doesn't. It does not, because it wasn't approved at that. Well, it might have been approved at that time, but I don't think Geraldine entered the change order.
Okay,
As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we didn't.
Alright.
It's not in there.
all right, so it's about 10,000 more that needs to come off the top of that.
So the one I have is dated, the end of December, so December 31st.
Yeah.
And it has, 99.5 in, contingency remaining. I think that might be the most recent one.
Sure.
Yeah, it's dated January 13th, but it says end of December on the. Yeah. Okay, so if that's 99.5, then it's 9 90,000 maybe about left in contingency.
Okay. So we don't have any invoices to approve or review. So unless there's anything else, I think that's gonna do it for the HVAC project.
Okay. Does
Everybody knows
anybody-
what to do, right? Mm.
Yeah, Mark, you'll have another OAC meeting on Tuesday, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, I
yes, I
appreciate
will.
Tom and Roger getting into those when they can, because that's helpful.
Oh, of course. I always invite them, so.
Yep.
If I don't invite them, it's not for slight, it's because I forgot. That's, I always try to make sure I invite Tyler and John and everybody that should be there. The frustrating part is that Jason is the key person, so if he doesn't make it, it's not a good session.
Actually, I do have one more question. Are there days coming up that there's no school where they can get in if they need to be in the building when there's no student? Or is that wait till the February?
Yeah, not till February. I don't have the calendar right in front of me. I believe it's Friday, the
13th, and
13th. And then
Monday is the 16th.
Monday is a holiday for my custodians. We could staff if we had to. We're also trying to keep budget in mind. But
Right.
Tuesday, the 17th is also a professional development day. So no students in the building, so they could work that day as long as it's not terribly disruptive. But at this point, we shouldn't have any terribly disruptive work left.
Right. Do they ask you for days like that to be able to get in, even though the custodians aren't there? That means you've got to,
We've done a few days like that.
Okay.
Save More has not been good at asking. It's usually when I'm flagging those days during the OAC meetings, and then it's like, oh yeah, we could use that. We've been trying to accommodate all of those as much as we can. I will again accommodate it if they need it and it will help progress this project. But if it's just going to be could you staff it? Nobody shows up. I'm trying not to because it does eat away at my budget.
sure. Got that. Thanks.
One question I had for the commission, just from a timing perspective, so Mark and John, if they need to get the paperwork in. Tom, I thought you said the next meeting was the first week of February, but the calendar on the town website says the 11th, which is second week of February. Just wanted to make sure.
You're correct. It's the 11th.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mark and John, thanks again for everything. We'll see some of you guys on Tuesday.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
See you on Tuesday.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, moving on to the BHS roof project. I know I saw it in the shared file that the contract was uploaded.
Yep. Jen uploaded the contract. I believe Jen gave the update at the last meeting, but in case my memory is failing me, Jen and I had a kickoff meeting with Silver Petroselli and Associates. I believe it was 2 weeks ago now. They are starting to review internally. They will need to come out and do a walkthrough of the roof to do an assessment. So with the snow on the roof, that's now going to be paused temporarily. It needs to be safe and they need to be able to actually see the roof surface to do their assessment. Beyond that, I don't have much of an update. I've been preoccupied with snow removal and cleanup, so I haven't reached back out to them to see what that delay looks like for them. Separate to that, Jen and I have been discussing, we realized that the dollar value of the engineering portion, so Silver Petroselli and Associates was awarded the architectural portion. The RFP did refer back to the fact that the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, which is for the initial phase, mostly just the plumbing, the tie-in of the roof drains. And then there will be an assessment of the electrical and the HVAC equipment that's on the roof to plan for removal and reinstallation. All of that was in the RFP designated as belonging to the town's engineering consultant. which we had listed as Kohler Ronan. Kohler Ronan gave us their price on that, and it came in around $50,000. I don't have the exact number in front of me. That value is too high to be able to submit it to the state for grant reimbursement without going out to bid. So Jen and I were just discussing the fact that we are now going to have to write an RFP to go out to bid for the engineering portion of it. We had a conversation with Kohler Ronan previous to that conversation after receiving their pricing. So Kohler Ronan understands that we are now going to have to bid this so that we're in compliance and it could be eligible for grant reimbursement. So they're not actioning any work at the moment. I need to connect with Silver Petroselli and make sure that's not holding them up. If that has the potential of holding them up, we may have to break out the engineering portion to get any immediate need taken care of, which the Board of Ed would have to figure out how to fund, and the remaining piece would still go out to bid. I'm not exactly clear on the requirements of how many bidders we have to get. Jen believes we need a minimum of 2, and that if we only get 1 bidder, it becomes problematic for the grant reimbursement. In our conversation with Craig from Kohler Ronan, he said Kohler Ronan's interested. They are going to bid it. I was not aware, but Craig advised Jen and I that Silver Petroselli and Associates is actually an architectural and engineering firm. So they have their own internal engineering division. So it's highly likely that they will want to bid it because then they would have full control of the scope. However, the only firm we would be comfortable with excluding a site walkthrough would be Kohler Ronan, because they're the only ones intimately knowledgeable of that roof in an engineering capacity. So Jen and I have to have an additional conversation and see, do we wait for the snow to clear so we can have a proper bid, mandatory walkthrough pre-bid, or are we going to be willing to do a virtual walkthrough of the roof of some sort? We had a very quick conversation today, but I believe I got pulled away for an emergency condition at one of the schools. We did not finish the conversation, so just wanted to make the commission aware of that. Beyond that, I don't have any update for this project at the time.
So Tyler, with the engineering part, you're talking about grant reimbursement. Is there a grant that has been obtained, or are we going to look to obtain a grant? And is it through Office of School Construction and just reimbursement, or?
We have not obtained any grant. The plan is to go through Office of School Construction for a grant when we get to roof construction. And I don't know if it's a hope or if there's knowledge there, because I'm still learning all the ins and outs of the educational grant system.
Right.
But when we go to do the roof replacement, my understanding is that the design work at that point should be partially reimbursable. So the engineering services for the design work should also be partially reimbursable, but only if we meet the grant requirements ahead of time. So Jen believes there's a cutoff of a $10,000 limit that you're able to spend without going to bid. But with Kohler Ronan giving us an estimated price close to or around $50,000, we're well above that clip level.
Right. So each step as we go along here has to use that concept of grant reimbursement. So everything is in place.
Correct. If we don't do it now, when we get to the point where we're trying to seek the grant reimbursement, we won't be eligible because we didn't meet the requirements.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's the first thing I noticed as I looked through the contract today, is that Kohler Ronan is the engineer of record. I didn't remember going through any process with them.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we didn't, and I didn't know to think of or call that out myself. And I think Jen was not anticipating it being as high dollar value as it was. So I think it was kind of a mix of, she thought it was going to come in at a lower dollar amount and not be an issue. And I didn't even know that we were up against that dollar amount to be able to be eligible for reimbursement in the future.
Now, I mean, you probably can't answer this, but does that complicate the contract at all that we just signed, that it's incorrect, or is that a pretty simple line cross out?
I'm not sure. That was one of my questions to Jen. She doesn't seem to think it's going to be a big issue. But I have not anyway discussed that with Melanie to see if Melanie has any concerns in that regard.
Okay. So again, I guess for the February 11th meeting, we can get a bunch of updates on that from Jennifer.
I plan to revisit. I've already started drafting the RFP for the engineering services, trying to get that out, or at least have it in Melanie's hands for review. My intention is this week. Obviously, emergencies and weather dependent, because that's been stealing all my focus lately. But I have the bones of that RFP are already written. Just need to review it and tweak a little bit. And then I think we should be ready to send it to Melanie for review from a legal perspective.
Okay.
And then is there a benefit if they came in, Cole Ronan ended up still being the high bid? Is there a benefit to having the engineering and the architecture separated, or is that not a concern?
I don't think that's not what came to mind for me when Jen and I started discussing it. I don't know that it is impactful in any meaningful way to either have them under one firm or to have it separated. The thing that jumped to mind for me was that if Kohler Ronan comes in reasonably close, but they are the high bid, do we want to entertain still awarding to them because they have so much knowledge of the high school structure and roof in particular, because they've done all the assessments for the current and future potential phases of HVAC, which would all be impacted with the roof replacement, because we're going to have to identify which existing rooftop equipment is going to remain, what pieces, because not all of it will have to be, but some of it will have to be removed from the roof and then reinstalled. Some of it should just be identified as dead equipment that's going to be removed and discarded, and those roof penetrations should be earmarked to be removed and closed up. That's not to say that any other firm couldn't go through that, but Kohler Ronan already has a lot of pre-existing knowledge of that, that may be beneficial to us in making sure that everything is accounted for. But then on the flip side of that, whichever firm is awarded that service should be responsible for making sure that they are crossing all those T's and dotting those I's. So Jen and I very briefly touched on most of the things that the commission has brought up, but we didn't finish the conversation. So I don't have any direct answers for you, unfortunately.
No, that's okay. That all makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. I had one other comment. I forget what it is. We haven't done anything on assessments with Kohler Ronan for the next phase of the HVAC, correct? None of that's happened?
I believe that has happened.
Okay.
I think to what extent I can't answer, because it all happened before I was hired. But I do believe that Kohler Ronan already has some drawings developed for the next phase. They've done assessment of roof spacing. I believe they even subbed out to a structural engineering firm. I believe it's De Silva something. I apologize, it's escaping my name. I might have it saved in my phone. But for the current phase, I know they had a structural engineering firm do roof load assessment to make sure the roof could support the new equipment.
Okay, so, all right, we'll see where the numbers come in, but that's another, I think benefit.
Yeah, and firm name, sorry, was DeSalvo Engineering Group. That for at least the current phase, they had assessed the roof structural. And I do believe they have looked at the next portion of roof headed towards the gym, because I believe that's the next phase that is proposed, I guess, and hopefully will move forward at some point in the future. But the roof would definitely happen before any additional phases of the HVAC.
Okay. So something away, keep in mind.
Because Colorado's original report it was all like everything that needed to be done, but they had divided it up into phases, and I think that Colorado's is calling what we're doing now with the grant phase 3. And they had sort of made everything in phases so you could sort of put some cost guesstimates on those, so that then the town and the Board of Ed could start looking at those and say, all right, we can spend this much and we can't spend any more till a year from now or whatever. Or if grants became available, be able to jump into those. But I think having that information and then also having the roof structure and all that all in place. And in a way, it seems like you said better to do the roof and then start putting, because you got to take all this stuff off the roof to do the roof. Obviously, we've talked about the roof gets done in sections or phases.
Yeah, I mean, I've in prep for where we are today, I have spoken to a few different roofing contractors that do a lot of educational work in the state. I've kind of got both sides of the coin, and I don't think there's no perfect scenario. From one aspect, doing the equipment first could be ideal, because now the equipment is sized appropriately and all of that. From the opposite side, some of the contractors had said that it's better to do the roof first, because they can then control the roofing installation more closely and make sure the equipment is set on the new roof properly. So unless you're doing the entire project of roof and equipment at the same time, I kind of got conflicting opinions. The reality of the matter is we have a really old roof, and we have some brand new equipment, some old equipment on the roof, and we're going to have to deal with both. But I had heard similar, Nancy, that Coloronen had kind of done a full assessment and then broken it down into smaller chunks that the town could, to a degree, pick and choose in order to fund in smaller pieces. And that's why I believe they have additional phases of the HVAC upgrade. I just have not dug into a drawing set that I've been able to identify as those future phases. But that could be pertinent knowledge that Coloranen has that might make them a better pick if they're in the ballpark. I mean, it's really going to depend on the numbers, I think, that we get in, and we'll have to review and discuss at that point.
Right. Well, I think we have to think too, in doing the renovations at both Rockwell and Johnson kind of at the same time, and doing them while the schools were occupied, we had to face the whole, like, you can't shut a school down, take all the equipment off the roof, redo the roof, put all the equipment back on, bring the kids back in. It was always both the equipment that's on the roof, HVAC and the roofing had to be constantly juggled throughout both of those projects. And I know you weren't here for that, but it was part of the fun of doing all that.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories. It sounds like it was a lot of coordination required.
So I have one other question. I did notice they had a payment schedule in the contract. And I think it had 4% or 14% or something for their initial startup to begin the assessments. Have they started billing for anything? And is that going to Jennifer? Is that coming through to us at any point?
I do not believe they've billed. I have not been made aware of any billing yet. It's totally speculative on my part. It's definitely not a concrete answer, but my my assumption is that it would go to Jennifer and it would be relayed to the commission for review and approval.
All right, that's something, yeah, we can discuss on the 11th.
Yeah, apologies, Jen's not here tonight. It is her birthday, so I told her I would handle the meeting solo, and she should not celebrate her birthday by being on this meeting tonight.
Good plan.
Yeah. Tell her happy birthday from all of
Yeah.
us.
Thanks.
So unless anyone else has any other questions, I think
We're good.
that'll do it
Yeah.
for the roof project.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yep, Tyler, thanks again for all your,
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
see ya. Okay, Roger, you're muted, but, next up is the animal shelter.
So John did send around a little update, like a written update on that and the hybrid garage roof. So everybody got that. It was in an email, so it's not just in the shared drive. Is there anything else?
Well, Nancy, do we need to read the items or just say the next time I'm just, he did write it, we could maybe put it into the shared drive so it's on record.
Well, it can go in the shared drive, but talk about in the email, he did this, come to the, that he put together a draft RFP for, because we talked about this in meetings, about having a like civil engineering type firm assist us in reviewing sites to help us figure out what would be the best site, because we kind of need that in place to go forward with plans. So that RFP is on the shared drive. And my question would be on an RFP, like if we look at it and go, oh yeah, great. Or do we have to run it? We may have to run it by Melanie. And I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it.
I browsed through it quickly.
Yeah, me
It's-
too.
It's still missing a lot of information.
I think it would need to have, and I don't know if this would be done through purchasing / finance along with Melanie. The town sort of boilerplate stuff that has to go in there about the insurance and all. So I think we would have to,
Yeah, he has it noted as like appendix C, but there's nothing attached to it, so.
Right,
That would all
right.
have to be included. And then, at some point, they're gonna have to name these sites. I don't think they've been named yet, right?
thought they were, no, maybe not.
I mean, we've mentioned all of them before, but
Right.
I don't
What-
see them called out.
Do we call them out or
Or just say three.
just say 3?
I think it would be beneficial for us to call them out, because if one just happened to be on the side of a mountain, probably be a little more work to
Right.
engineer that than one that's flat and downhill.
Right, because if we're gonna send out an RFP, do we also have a walkthrough as part of the process of getting proposals from people?
Yeah, I think we have to name them, because the sheer size of the properties as well. One was 50 acres and one was 1 acre, obviously.
Right,
More
right,
work involved.
right.
Right.
But yeah, I think this probably has to be passed through the town attorney.
Town attorney and possibly purchasing, because if they're still being the person who oversees, because this is kind of part of, or I don't know if there's a person who's the person that does that now, do you know?
I think it would be Kristen de Oliveira, because Kristen,
So, new person,
she took over for Sam.
Okay.
So that's supposed to be her thing. So
purchasing, okay. Because then they would have to put in specific town stuff. Like Melanie, I'm sure would point out the insurance part, but there's specific town things that have to go in, and then also, and so this is basically what we, as a, what Public Works is seeing, but also what we need as a commission to help us make a decision as to where this is gonna be located to start. But then the town has to put in stuff like there's dates. So if you publish it on this date and then by this date, if there's gonna be any kind of like pre-meeting or a walkthrough or anything like that, then that happens on a certain date, it's through this date, and all those kinds of things have to get put in by whoever.
Right.
It's not as complex. But in the, where's the thing? Here it is. The update that he put together, he suggested a few firms that we could contact. And so if we look at it as a request for proposal, and we're putting it out to everybody and anybody through however they usually do on websites and things like that, or are we contacting 6 or 8 firms and saying, are you interested? 2 different ways of doing it, I think.
I think you can do it both ways though.
You can do
I
both,
think you can
yes.
put it on the
Yeah.
DAS
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
And then you can also
Say to these
say
people,
that
hey,
you're gonna be sending it to these 5 firms. that
Right.
we-
right,
Preferred vendor type of
Right.
scenario, yeah. Yeah, we talked about this, I think, last time, that
Yep.
we should definitely pick more than 3 in case a few aren't interested or the
Right.
numbers just come in crazy.
yeah, because he had 3 here that he's got contact info for, but he's got 4 more that he doesn't, and some of them I think we've worked with in different ways, Bussin O'Neill, Weston, Sampson, CAA. So I'm sure getting contact info for those people is not difficult. But like you said, you put them out to those, you put it on DAS and then go from there.
So
So,
that's something the highway department would do, not the highway department, who would do that?
to put the proposal out once it's complete,
Yeah.
I would think finance, I think the purchasing agent,
Oh,
yes.
purchasing,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah.
procurement, whatever they
Procure-
put it out. The
Procurement committee or, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And they would do the bid.
We can't do that.
Right,
You don't
right.
They
have
would do
the,
the opening on it.
yeah, we don't have kind of like the authority to do that, but we would have to make sure that this includes everything we think it needs, not, there's the RFP. Where is it? There it is. We would have to know that, and again, if we didn't have enough time to scope it out, we might have to discuss it further, but then also, again, like I said, town putting in their part, run it by Melanie to make sure it's got all that. I don't think we've ever put out an RFP without running it by town attorney. Even, like the BHS roof, that went through Melanie, even though it didn't come directly from us, it was written more by, Board of Ed through purchasing, then Melanie, and then it goes out. The process.
Right.
So I don't know now if we would want to mark it up or whatever at the next meeting, or come back at the next meeting and say this should be included, or should we take this and go to purchasing,
I would say,
procurement,
let it,
and
yeah,
Melanie?
I would say definitely let everybody have time to digest this, and because I just saw this today, this as well.
Yeah.
And then we can discuss this more in detail, and hopefully we can get maybe Eric or somebody on, the next meeting
Yeah, it
to,
won't be John,
yeah, he'll be gone.
and if Eric, we can put him first. He can come in virtually.
Well, this is another, to kind of cross topics here, this is another good reason to have maybe somebody on the commission, how Roger wanted to assign some positions. If somebody with Jonathan gone now, if someone from the commission can kind of step in and get updates directly from Eric if he can't be here
True,
to speak.
yet I guess we have to find out from Eric, because even if John was saying, we would have to find out from them, both of them, or at least Eric. What's the continued involvement of Eric and or John and or Public Works with the project with us? Or do we? I mean, it's kind of an ongoing thing that I've talked about with a number of people, and including Dan and others, that all boards and other boards and commissions in town have some employee as their point of contact, so to speak, as a, planning and zoning doesn't do anything unless the town planners, they're saying, oh, yeah, you can do that. Oh, no, you can't. Yes, you have to learn all the pieces and parts before you make decisions, but there's also some town employee with their expertise coming in, like we don't do school stuff without Jen, Dr. Carver, Tyler.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we should do it with them or should do it without them. I'm just saying it seems to be the most efficient way because they know more of what's needed.
Right.
So having all of us do different pieces and parts is great. I still think we need somebody from the town telling us some things.
Right. No, I agree. I just
Being a
think,
part of it, yeah.
I'm guessing the highway department's fully overwhelmed now that Jonathan's leaving.
Well, Kathy, tell us about it.
I keep saying
It
highway
wouldn't be
department.
It's
the
public
highway
works.
Yeah, I get public works.
Yeah. I think right now you would be with either Eric or me,
Okay.
being that person. But I think for this, I would probably, everybody review it, add whatever you think needs to be included in it.
Right.
It just make a list, and then we would probably end up giving it to procurement and
Yeah.
ask them to write it up and include all the boilerplate, possibly give it back to you for review once again to make sure that it's all good, goes through town council, whatever. And then it would be ready to go to be put out. Procurement would put it out. And then they would, they would open up the bids and see who what where, and then it would go from there. So
So would you or Eric discuss a marked up version and then you or Eric would take it to procurement or we would?
I think it'd be if more rate, I would probably take your input and I would probably pass it on, like, update this possibly, depending on whatever with Eric. And then we would pass it on to procurement, I would think, and let them add in all the boilerplate pieces, run it through Melanie, come back to us, or do it through procurement, come back to us, make sure that you're good with what it is, then run it all through Melanie and get her final approval on all of it.
Mhm.
And then it would be able to go out.
Okay.
And that would take some time, but that would probably be the process of just gather all your input, what changes you'd like to see, what you would like added in. And then I would most likely have Eric write it up.
Right.
And then we would get it to Krista.
Okay.
Okay. So do some reviewing. We can, I think, Roger and or Tom or both of you send out an email to everybody who's left. So including, so Jeff and David or send us know to check it out and we'll, bring it to the next meeting and do some updates, adding in whatever, and then do that whole process.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. And on the, oops, sorry.
I was gonna say, Raj, any comments? Any thoughts?
No, everything's the same there. When we get into it, well, for the Francis Clark, there's some administration in town, which is the state-appointed commission to oversee the development. But I believe that's 20 years old, and they didn't renew their state authorization, according to Matt Knickerbocker, who I saw on the street. So it looks like no town agencies have to make comments about something like a site. I think one of the sites is at the Francis Clark. So, but we can talk about that later, so that's down the road. So the answer is no, I don't have any comments on the animal shelter.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so then,
And that has a little blurb about the
Yeah.
highway garage. roof.
yeah, so then moving on to the highway garage, this was an email for this, yeah.
Yeah, it was attached to an email, I don't know, from a couple of days ago, I think.
Okay.
Let me
So
see.
highway garage roof, Jonathan says the architectural and structural assessment was conducted on January 8th. Gary Tarantino, Gary Torello, and John Comtois from Torello were present. The team spent 4 hours evaluating the roof and structural components. Initial observations of the roof itself were not very surprising. Sagging panels, low points, numerous spot repairs, water ponding at the edges, poorly functioning gutters, etc. Structural components were in relatively good condition, but they need to be assessed for loading. Gary Torello, he spoke with him that day, whatever day this was sent, and he expects the report to be delivered no later than February 15th.
Okay.
Which is pretty good progress.
Yeah, then it would be right after the next meeting.
All right, I just have something. So I spoke to John Matz on Tuesday, and then he sent this bullet sheet out on Tuesday, yesterday. And so his general comment was, and I was there on the 8th to meet them. So as a draft verbal comment, I guess, to John from the architect, they were able to get up on the roof and they had some comments, which was just mentioned, but the general scope, which will be reflected, I guess, in the assessment report, it looks like the front half of the building, I guess where the offices and everything, the roof is in bad shape and that will need to be replaced according to whatever design, which is the next phase. The back half, the half that goes over the equipment, the trucks and where they store stuff, is in relatively good shape. It just needs to be repaired and upgraded. And there were some commercial products that can be used. So it looks like the back half over the trucks and the bay garage area seems to be in fairly good shape. Just have to be upgraded, but the front of it really needs to be replaced, which is where the offices and the front of the building is. And so that should be mentioned in the report somehow. And then the next step is the design.
And then something's been mentioned, whether we have other firms that have the proper insurance to design a sprinkler system, I assume, and nothing's been done with that, right?
If I recall, John was saying, that's a good question. I thought that was put to the side for the time being. I guess a cost evaluation has to be done. I thought I heard, is it worth it? But then we brought up the issue that all the vehicles and the trucks are worth a few $1 million. What would happen if there's a fire in the bay? You could lose everything. So let me call John tomorrow and find out if he can put anything in. I should take a look at the shared drive. To be honest with you, my Wi-Fi was out for about a day or so I'm kind of catching up. So I will do that tomorrow and call John to ask about the sprinkler part of the whole project.
Because that could be the report, that's out another asking for proposals to do the design based on the reports of what upgrades need to be done, et cetera. And that doing a design for sprinklers could be part of the RFP, or it could be a add alternate or a deduct alternate, or just do the design. And then once you take it and put it out to bid for doing the work, sprinkler part could be a add alternate, and they might not do it.
I
Or
think there'd be more engineering involved with loading a sprinkler
True.
system.
true.
So I
So
think,
you need that as part of the design.
and I think that's
yeah.
what they.
Right.
I think we have to wait for the engineering assessment, so they were up in the rafters, you know, when I left, and the trusses. So don't forget, there's not only the trusses, and then they added all that weight for the solar project, all the conduit and everything, and that's all the steel conduit and everything. So that's a load, and then you add sprinklers. So I think you have to wait and see what the engineering report talks about the load and then the potential of any add-ons. I mean, in my opinion, you know.
I think we would have to figure this situation out before we go to design. We'd either have to
Right.
figure out whether we're doing sprinklers or not. Because
Yep.
you wouldn't want to design it and then redesign it for sprinklers.
Because you'd have
Yeah.
to, right, but you wouldn't have the proper load, right?
So a couple names got thrown out at the previous meetings, Reed and some other guys, whether they had the proper insurance or interested or could design it. I do remember Jonathan shooting, I don't know if it was just to Roger and I, but he spoke to Tom Galliford as well and the fire marshal.
Mhm.
And it seemed like the feedback was, yeah, it would make sense to do a sprinkler system if you could afford it and it was engineered properly.
Right.
For all of the other auxiliary possibilities of fire, not necessarily a gas fire, but all the other stuff in the building.
Well, like you're saying too, with the cost of trucks and what could be lost, that's worth that.
Definitely.
Okay.
So now, do we know, Kathy? What's it like now with the roof got full of snow? Do we know what's?
There's, I mean, as far as weight right now on the roof, there is some concerns that we have had some discussion about bringing somebody in to clear off the roof, especially if we find out that we're getting more snow.
Yeah.
So we have talked about it this week about doing something. We did go and have a vendor work on removing the snow off the animal shelter roof too.
I was gonna ask about that, yeah, okay, good, okay.
But, and a couple of new leaks sprung up, at least one, at the animal shelter, but the same person's gonna fix it, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I
Thanks.
discussed this week about that, so.
All right. I don't think I have any other notes on that. All right, so the final item is the municipal center renovations, which I'm guessing there's no updates.
Yep. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
We'll see. We have enough to do right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Plus, there's always, like, I brought it up before, how much money can the town spend? You know, well, it's great to do a lot of projects and yet, where's the money coming from?
Right.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Yeah, we're getting more projects and less people, it seems like too.
And less money.
Less members and less money. All right, so with that said, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Great.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you,
You
everybody.
adjourn.
See you, Roger. Yeah, Roger,
See everybody. Stay well.
Roger, you gonna?
Say that again. Sorry, you're breaking up.